Do forgive me here, as the plan was to react to a Drake song, given that there was an announcement of a new Drake album for All the Dogs on the way. However, it hasn't come out yet. It may still come out, but I thought, why wait and see if Drake ends up releasing anything when he could just be tricking us all, and it won't be out until like later in the year or something, when I could just check the releases and see what's out. And it turns out Miley Cyrus has dropped something. What? I mean, I was just assuming it would be like a single from the album, you know, beyond the singles that have already come out. We're still in that release schedule for that album. But no, it's a totally new song that's totally unrelated to the album, which I've got to say I find a little strange. I mean, the album came out, what, 4 months ago-ish? I don't remember the exact date it came out, but it's not been out that long. And to already move on to the next thing, I find a little odd, to be honest with you. Whether or not she's just kind of done with that already, or I guess the album didn't do that well in terms of what it could have. Flowers was fantastic in terms of how well it did, but the rest of the album, I mean, I don't think that many people are really talking about in the same way they were talking about the one song Flowers. So yeah, maybe it's just a bit of a sort of, let's just leave that behind us and move on to the next thing. I don't really know, but let's see how this new track goes. Used to Be So Young is the track. Let's press play. Let's see how it goes. Could be a bit of a ballad. Could be. Very likely. Okay, yeah, something about this track feels a bit like, I don't want to say addressing, because I don't think she's addressing anything, but sort of like a reflection, maybe is a better word, of like her younger days. Do you remember like the Bangers days where she was like doing all these kinds of things just for attention and controversy, and, you know, twerking on the VMAs and stuff like it? It was all a bit cringe. I mean, people seemed to like it at the time because she was really popular. But yeah, I do look back at that and think like that was definitely very cringe. And yeah, I feel like she's sort of talking about those days a little bit on this track, just sort of going like, well, actually, you might call me crazy, you might call me wild, but I was just young. And yeah, I mean, we all do silly things when we're younger, but I don't know, man, just something about that messaging just feels a bit like, yeah, like you could just admit that you're a bit silly and cringe. As for the song itself, I mean, it's very fine to me, like just super average. The thing I've said before about Miley, I'm probably repeating myself a little bit, she just kind of like does this thing with her vocal tone that kind of like gruffs a little bit. It's like it sounds a bit strained. It reminds me honestly of like those late 90s, early 2000s sort of like butt rock bands, you know, like Nickelback and stuff, where their singers and of those bands would just have this like to their voice, and it just sounded really strained. It wasn't very rock and roll, it just sounded a bit shit. And she does that with her voice, I think. It's just not too good. It could have made the song have a bit of a bigger impact if the vocals were just a bit better. I mean, on that like bridge where she's doing the la la la's and stuff, she doesn't sound very in tune doing it. So yeah, I'm just not too keen on her approach here. I think sometimes her voice was better, it would carry the songs better than it does. So yeah, pretty average overall. What do you think though? I mean, I wasn't expecting a ballad, I will say that. I thought we were going to get like an upbeat song similar to something like Flowers. because of how well it did for her, but you know, fair enough, that's what she wanted to release. What do you think though? Am I being harsh here? Is it better than I'm giving it credit for? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my Patreon as well. You can request track reactions in the future. Have a good day. Goodbye.